Matthew chapter 13. We've been studying verse 33 and walking through a progression in verse 33, which is the parable of the leaven. And we're continuing that tonight and will be for the next generation. Saturday nights are so brief that we don't get to, never mind. I got time, but you don't. Okay, so we're looking at Matthew chapter 13, verse 33. You know he's in the midst of telling a variety of parables, and of course they all, except for the first one, which is the parable of the sower, which begins in verse 3, and he gives an explanation of that as well. And then he moves into these parables, and he calls them the parables of the kingdom. And he's already given his definition of the kingdom back in the Sermon on the Mount, and that is, of course, this is all a playoff of that. So you've got to keep in mind this definition, or it becomes confusing, I would think, to you. And the definition of the kingdom is that it's a relational concept, and the definition of the kingdom is you, of course, being filled with him, and that intimacy and that oneness and that merger that takes place. So you become the kingdom in this context. It's really important to note consistently the context of these parables and why he began to do this. And that is that we've just come out of chapter 12. And chapter 12, of course, is just story after story after story that went on all day long of the conflict that went on between Jesus and the Pharisees. And they've done everything from question his ethics to criticize him for his activities, to blame him for being filled with the devil, to gathering together to plot murder, of how they're going to kill him. All of that's happened on this Sabbath day. So there has been a wall that has been built. And each time this happened, Jesus tried to communicate to them, but hey, it didn't get through to them. So now he's in a dilemma. How am I going to communicate to this crowd that shut me down? And so he's changed his whole technique of preaching, and he's gone to this parable thing. And he says that the reason I'm telling parables is I'm trying to reveal truth to them. And I'm hoping that a parable, a story, will get into their mind, and they'll be walking along one day, and suddenly the Spirit of God will be able to take that story that's stuck in their mind and just explode it in their system, and they will grasp truth. So he's telling parables. That's what he says to his disciples. And he's describing the kingdom of God in this process. Now, there are two parables, all three parables of the kingdom that he's told so far, which is the parable of the wheat and the tares, which is verse 24, then the parable of the mustard seed, which is verse 31, and verse 33 now, the parable of the leaven. And it says, another parable he spoke to them. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till it was all leavened. Now this is in direct connection with the parable of the mustard seed, which gives you the same basic truth in itself. And what we've done is we've taken verse 33 and said, what is the concept of verse 33? What is he really trying to describe to us? And we've divided the concept into 3 basic ideas that are all tied together trying to explain this concept. And one, of course, is the measure, 2 is the method, and 3 is the mastery. Now, we've talked about the measure because as you look at the parable itself, obviously, he's talking and emphasizing the idea of small being placed into the large. So there's a small, the leaven, in 3 measures of meal. And that is not just here in this parable, but that is verified everywhere you go in everything he says. We're talking about the least becoming the greatest in the parable of the mustard seed. We're talking about the small entering into the large and influencing it in its wholeness. We're talking about the helpless being filled with the overwhelming resource and literally becoming the new creature that literally brings about something that is marvelous because it's the new creature of the kingdom. So this small idea be moving into the large. So if you're looking for some gigantic, overwhelming, large thing to come to your life and just revamp your whole system, good luck on that, because he describes this entrance of the presence of God into your life as that which you look at and say, whoa, what happened to me? Was this a big deal? And before it gets done, he literally overwhelms your whole system with the dynamic of his own presence. See, we like lightning bolts. The difficulty with lightning bolts is I'm never sure if it was coincidental. And I become a sign seeker that says, maybe you could give me 2 this time, just to be sure. But what he's after is intimate relationship with his person that doesn't need lightning bolts. That's what he's interested in. He's interested in literally entrance into your life, and so infiltrating you that he becomes your reality, not lightning bolts. That it doesn't become manifestations, it becomes him. It doesn't become display of talent, it becomes him. That he becomes, it doesn't become rules done, it becomes him. Him in the intimacy of his presence. And that's his whole emphasis in the dynamic of the kingdom. Now, we've covered the measure idea, and we've been trying to work on the method idea. As you move into the parable, one of the ideas that's connected with this measure is this small enters into the larger and begins to infiltrate. What is the method of the infiltration? What is the method by which God enters into your life and does this phenomenal thing called the kingdom? And of course, the method is, again, relational. And I want to make a statement that we made a couple Saturdays ago, just to be sure. Well, you probably don't even remember what it is, so I want to remind you just to be sure we're on track. Anytime, boy, I want you to get this. Anytime, this is a test. Anytime, this is a way to measure. Anytime, anybody, any place, anywhere wants to focus you on the physical activity as the essence of Christianity, you know they're a half a bubble off. Anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, when somebody tries to focus you on a physical activity as being the essence of your Christian faith, you know immediately they are dead off. Because this is relational. Now, we understand that there is physical involved, because relational always spills out into physical. Because I have a relationship with my wife, I kiss that woman. Woo! So we understand that the physical gets involved. But see, I have no right to kiss her unless I have the relationship. In fact, let's take a break. Never mind. So, you understand what I'm saying to you? Get a room, I know. Anytime, any place that anybody focuses you on the physical activity as the heart of your Christianity, you know they're dead off. Because it's relational. It's relational. So if I come to you and I base your whole Christianity on an activity, a physical activity like baptism, then I'm dead off. Because you and I both know you can be baptized and not have a relationship with Jesus. And then it becomes a mere bath. We're not against baptism. We're for baptism. It's a wonderful thing. God, Jesus told us to do it. Hallelujah. We'll do it. But you and I know that if you do that without relationship, it means nothing. Because it's a physical activity, and the physical activity is never the redemptive idea. In fact, I would propose to you that's true about this. Lots of people died on crosses, and they weren't redemptive. What's so special about this? There is a relationship going on between this man and his father, and a purity that's being displayed, and a redemption that's taking place in a spiritual realm that's so far, this had to be, no problem. This had to be, but it wasn't this, because this happened a lot. But it was all about relationship. Relationship. So that becomes an absolute key in the passage, in the method. So the method is never physical activity. It is always relational in its impact. Now, we tried to break this down, this relational idea in the method as profile, number one. And we covered that a little bit. See, when you profile the relational activity that took place, the Jews were confused because they expected Jesus, the Messiah, to come in this military might. They expected him to be tall, broad-shouldered, and handsome, something like me. And they expected that he would march in and clean house and kill all their enemies. Woo! And set up a kingdom in Jerusalem, and the whole world would be scared to death of Israel again. Whoa. And he came in meekness and lowliness and, wow, messed around with poor people, handicapped folks who can't even get into the temple. And you go to his congregation and say, wow, look at the congregation. They're all a bunch of sick people. There is no way he can be the Messiah. Why? Because the Messiah is to come riding on a white horse again with this explosive. Jesus says, you don't know the kingdom. The kingdom is this mustard seed that's planted in big tree. But it was here, the small. It's leaven. It's in the loaf. Good luck on that. Go to bed and come back in the morning, son. And they missed it. Don't you miss it. So if you're looking for some big, magnificent sign, if you're looking for God to write on the wall, he is capable of writing on walls. Did it in the Old Testament. But the normal procedure is, he has spoken truth to your heart. You have said right here and heard it. That's all you need. Would you respond to it? Would you respond? Why would it be too much to ask of you? Would you just know, would you just respond and do what you know you ought to do? And why should he tell you anything else when you haven't done that yet? So it's just that simple, he says. Tonight we want to talk about portion. So there's the profile of the method, which is this exact opposite of what the Jews expected, and that was he penetrated and just moved. And I want to talk about the portion tonight. And again, there's three ideas to this, which we probably won't get to. But as you begin to get into the heart of this concept, you understand that in the method of this whole kingdom process, and I use the word process with quotes around it, there is an objective, number one. There's an objective. There's a goal. Do you get the goal in the passage? Look at this. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till it was all leavened. So what would you say is the objective, the goal? It is the invading, persuasive, invasive movement of this leaven in these 3 meals until the whole thing is absolutely invaded and captivated by this leaven. In fact, look at the words. Till, do you see the word till there? Which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal. Till. Till is an interesting word, and in the passage, of course, it means working until the goal is accomplished. And what is the goal? It's the whole measure, 3 measures, would be invaded by the leaven. That's the goal. So, he says, there's going to be this relational presence. This relational God, this God who wants to know you, this Jesus who's going to literally invade you, and he's going to invade you for the purpose of what? Until your whole being will be mastered by him. Well, I'll tell you, preacher, my goal is heaven. Well, help yourself. That's not the biblical goal. The biblical goal is intimacy of your whole system with him. Well, my goal is to have this biggest church in Lebanon. Woo! And get my name in the newspaper. He says the goal is the intimacy with his person. Well, my goal is to, be prosperous. That's my goal. Be prosperous. And if I give him 10, he'll give me 100. Woo! He says the goal is he wants to enter your life and invade your entire whole system. In fact, look at just after the word hid. It says, which a woman took and hid in. The word in there is literally eis, which is the word into, which is directional. So this is a directional idea. So it literally was hid into. The purpose of the leaven is to go into. So you get that whole emphasis. Look at the word all. Till it was all. All is not the word all. The normal word for all in the New Testament is pas, P-A-S, and that's all, meaning, but this word is whole. So I would translate this, till it was wholly or completely. So the emphasis, all is okay, but the emphasis is this invasion of the whole until there isn't any section of your life that isn't invaded by his presence. Hey, it's just us. Don't tell anybody this. Okay, Manley, if that's true, if the very goal, the objective of this whole thing is that Jesus would enter into your life and he would invade you until your whole life is literally mastered by him and he is the whole system of your being is under his influence, is that completed in your life? And the answer is no. It's not completed in my life. I want to spend a little time explaining that to you, but I want to give you this concept. Okay, if it's not completed in your life, when is it going to be completed? When are you going to be able to say, he has wholly in my entire system filled me? How about heaven? Here's the concept. Wouldn't it be interesting if the depth of your life, think about this, the depth of your life and the depth of what he wants to do in your life is so big and so phenomenal. Wouldn't it be interesting if the destiny he has for you, wouldn't it be interesting, dear friend, if your life is so huge in his creation of it that it will take all eternity and all of heaven for him to totally get done in you what he dreams about doing? Wouldn't it be interesting if your life is so complicated? And hey, I can understand that, having lived with my wife. Oh yeah, women are complicated. And if I know that on my little level, he knows, whoa. Wouldn't it be interesting if what he wants to do in you is not just, oh, I made a trip to the altar, he forgave me. Well, thank you, my name's written down. Wow. Wouldn't it be interesting if his invasion of your life and what he wants to do in you is so big and so phenomenal that it probably won't get done in this lifetime and will spill over into heaven and probably won't get done it'll take all the eternities to pull this off. And that his death was not just pat you on the head and keep you out of hell kind of stuff. So what you're saying, Manley, is that you're not even complete. That's true. That's true. That's true. Well, how do you know if you're really even Christian then? Because he has made entrance at the core of my life. If I were to take a knife and slit you down the middle and open you up and go to the core of your system, I don't know what you want to call that. The Bible calls it the heart, which is what makes you tick, which sources you. He has not made entrance into my liver. He did not make entrance into my kidney. He made entrance into my heart. And in the scriptures, the word heart is never, ever, ever an organ in the body. 161 times, and it's never an organ in the body. It is this core of your existence. And he made entrance there, and he's beginning this process of flowing into my life. And while he hasn't reached the depth of my mind, he has entered into my heart, and there is no rebellion in my... Why would I want to resist his presence invading me? Why wouldn't I relax in him and say, go for it? So the holiness doctrine, the holiness movement, the holiness truth has always been, you are perfect, complete in your heart. But my heart is working its way through a body that's under the curse of sin and doesn't always respond. My mind is too stupid to know sometimes. And there are things I don't even know because he hasn't invaded that. So the process is working. Are you getting this? The process is working, but here. A perfect heart with perfect love. And probably not you, but I hurt people's feelings and don't mean to. Would rather die than do that. Why? Because my heart wants to help you, not hurt you. And yet my brain isn't all that bright. But at the heart level. So the leaven has started here. And it's in this relationship. Isn't that phenomenal? So what should be your response to this? Well, would you come on, just surrender, would you? Just, come on, Leaven, do your thing. Come on. No resistance, no fighting against it, no pushback. Just, hey, that's phenomenal. Now, if the objective, the goal, is this invasion of his influence, that he starts here at my heart and begins to invade my entire being, and it is so big it's not even going to be, it's going to take all eternity to get it completed, but it's complete in the heart. But you are so complicated, you are so huge in his destiny for you, you are so big in his plan for you, that it's going to take a while for this invasion to fulfill its total goal. Let me give you the second idea. Obscure. Do you get the idea that this thing is hid? For instance, the Greek word for hid is two words put together, prefix in and to hide, which again gives you this idea that it invades and it's hidden, and this word is only used in this parable, which is also given in Luke. So it's used twice in the New Testament, but always in this parable. And the word into then follows that word, which is a movement term. So you get this idea that this leaven that's in me, that has come and been implanted in my inner heart, is hidden, it's doing things in me that I don't know about. And isn't it fun to wake up one day and discover, good night, God has been doing something in my life and I didn't know it. Well, I knew he was doing something, but I didn't know what he was doing, and he reveals, and if he did that once, he's doing it again, and maybe he's doing it dozens of times in a dozen different ways in my life, and I'm not even, that there are things going, he is literally going, and things that I perceive aren't the way they really are, and things that I feel aren't the way they really are, and if I would trust him, he is fulfilling, invading, building, instructing, allowing, and it's all a part of this process. And that I can trust him in that. Now, here's the ironic thing. While that's true for Jesus invading my heart and doing things in me that I don't know about, that's also true for sin. It's the old frog thing, you know? You take this frog, you put him in a pan of water. He sits there, chirps a little. You turn the heat up just a little bit. He just sits there. You turn it up a little more. Gets hotter. He just sits there. Turn it up a little more. He just sits there. You can fry that boy. Boil him alive, and he'll sit right there. Because he doesn't know what's going on. Sin is like that. I'm a 4-year-old. What do you want to be when you grow up? An alcoholic. Nobody ever said that. How did it happen? Judas, interesting study. Judas, he had the same calling all the other guys had. Shared the same testimony all the other guys shared. Heard the same sermons all the other guys heard. Sat around the campfire, heard the explanation for the parables, same as they all heard. Got filled with the Spirit and went out and did miracles just like everybody else. There isn't any, you can't find any discrimination, difference where Jesus said, oh, he was included. What happened to him? It's the frog thing. It wasn't any big, it was See, he didn't just wake up one day and say, 30 pieces of silver, that's it, I'm done. It was the frog thing. So that's true with sin. But friend, if that's true with sin, let me tell you how much greater it is with the presence of Jesus. Would you just respond? Would you just allow? Would you just turn him loose? Would you just trust him? Would you just say, hey, I'm leaning on you, man? Would you just allow him in the process that he is doing things in your life that you have no idea about, and he is invading you if you'll turn him loose? And come and talk to me in about 20 years. And tell me how it went. And how God did an invasion in your life. And why would anybody resist that? Because do you understand, the only thing that can shut that down in your life is so don't ever, just always. And let him invade you. Wow, Jesus. To think that what you want to do in my life is so big you can't get it done in this lifetime. And then I'm hit strong in the face with the idea that maybe you didn't get all done in this lifetime when you wanted to get done because I wouldn't let you. And maybe I'm a little behind schedule. And that I need to redeem the time in my life by the surrender, by the yielding, by turning you loose, by seeing you in everything. And it's true, Lord, I've looked for the spectacular. I've looked for the lightning bolts. I've looked for the visions, and I've looked for the dreams, when I should have been looking for you. And in the embrace of your person, would you invade my heart? And help me, oh God, to do everything that I can possibly do to allow you to hasten the process of your invasion of my life. And forgive me for my stupidity and for my griping and complaining and capture me with surrender and relaxation and resting and yieldedness, that you invading my life could be complete. And forgive me when I've held out areas of my life and blocked them from you and refused you access to them. Heads are bowed. This is a call to surrender. This is a call to turning him loose. This is a call to invasion. This is a call to saying, God, every door, you have access to it all. This is a call to, hey, no resistance. This is a call to openness. This is a call to when I don't even understand and I can't figure out, it doesn't matter. Because you have hidden yourself in me and you're doing what I don't even know you're doing. And acting in ways I don't even know you're acting. And bringing about what I don't even know is in your plan. And I'm trusting you in the midst of that. Would you rest in him? Would you jump into his arms? Would you give yourself to him? Would you tear down all the walls? Would you quit looking for lightning bolts, manifestations? And would you embrace his person in reality? Oh, what a Jesus. What a Jesus. What a Jesus. Moments of seeking. Moments of seeking.